What's up, nerds and nerdettes and we little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G for Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. Oh, that's exciting. Nice to have a nice little exciting start there, especially for such a late start. Let me just apologize for not getting on around noonish like I usually do with these. These last few weeks have been very hectic with me. My two little dogs, Mojo and Moxie. My boy Mojo took a fall down the stairs. I know I'm laughing. I shouldn't be laughing, but he farted. His farts scare him. Do you have a dog that's scared of his own farts? Because Mojo is afraid of his own farts. And he bolts whenever he farts. And we have these soft pillow stairs on the couch so him and Moxie can get on them. And he farted and went flying right down the stairs and misstepped and took a tumble and really hurt himself. So we've been nursing Mojo for the last several weeks. He's doing better. He's not knuckle walking anymore. That was a real scare of ours. It was the first few days he was knuckle walking, and we were worried about some nerve damage there. But he's gotten better. He's fine. He's still crate dog. He's going to be crate dog for the next several weeks, obviously, at the very least, if not longer. So that's been a problem. And that happened right on the tail end of our girl Moxie having a liver scare. I don't know what she got. She wants to pick something up outside. So this last several weeks, ending from this last month, going into the last several weeks from that, has been so crazy and hectic around here. And today was very problematic with Moxie. She had a lot of problems. I don't want to get into it too much, but she required pretty much my full attention most of the day. But everything's a little bit better now. My wife is home, and I'm ready to go. So that's what's been happening here. Things have been crazy. See, now this is why I am so glad that I'm so many months ahead of schedule on everything, obviously, with my live streams, right? Because I haven't had time, other than the lives, to film pretty much this whole month. Of course, nobody knows that because I'm well ahead of schedule. So that's the real big benefit of busting your ass for a couple of months to double up and triple up on your number of videos in order to get ahead of schedule. Because if some bombshell happens and you can't work this, whether it's your job or your hobby, you just can't work it for a few weeks or a month, you're not losing anything. That's why I'm so happy I do that. Anyway, so enough of all this. You don't want to hear about any more of my personal woes, I'm quite sure. But we have had a good month as far as video drops go and some of the live playthroughs. Oh, I just want to say, yes, I do know that the live playthrough that I did of Hero Quest last night wasn't rules friendly. Right? If you watch the video, I made that statement right up front. I knew I was house ruling it. But you know what? It was a lot of fun. I had a really great time with that elf party. That was fun. Now let's get to some comments here that we got going. So from Saturday, Slideshow Gaming of Defenders of the Last Stand. We have the Starship Chiro Studios. That's right, Starship Chiro Studios. Thank you for making more comments. I love your name. I love saying your name, as you can tell. So let's see, this game looks like it is trying to pack every post-apocalyptic trope in the trunk and into the wastelands to look for trouble. I love it! This game definitely is. The Defenders of the Last Stand does exactly that. It has so many, if not all, regular post-apocalyptic, apocalyptic kind of settings. What's the other word I'm looking for? Dystopian settings. That's the other word I was looking for. So much of that in the game. It has a great solo mission in it too, as well. But mostly it's not a solo game. But yeah, a lot of fun. If you're looking for an apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic, dystopian style game, that's a good one. That's a damn good one for you to start with. Because it has about everything. So I'm really glad I had a chance to show that off and you enjoyed seeing that. So for Tabletop Takeout the other week, it was for a game called The King is Dead. At the time, the copy I have of that's Osprey Games. And Shogunstein, our good old friend Shogunstein there, said, "What is with all the Osprey games lately?" Yeah, I guess I've had a few. I don't know. I'm not. It's just the flow. It's just the flow. Looking around at the games on the shelves, the games that I've been playing recently, games that I haven't played recently, but I want to get back on the table. The whole combination of things. It's just, it's just for this channel here at the moment. Unless you're seeing it elsewhere too, it's just a momentary zeitgeist. I think for me here at the channel. Yeah, I think that's really all it is. But they do a lot of good games. I mean, I still think that their edition of Odin's Raven, it's still one of my favorite games to play. It is definitely one of my favorite exclusively two-player titles. Agamemnon, there's some good titles. Escape from Colditz. Come on, that's another great title too. They're jam-packed with good fun titles. So what's up with all the Osprey games? It's just a momentary zeitgeist. Here, Too Good Pixie. That's all. Trust me. There's no motive. And McLean 101, nice to see you back again, brother. McLean 101 said, such a cool game. Yeah, it is. That's why I was talking about it. I'm glad you get it. You guys get it. I like that. Very cool. Now we're back over here to Chiro Studios. And this is for Slideshow Gaming from the other week. So, you've been eaten. You are not the first one to make this comment, but I totally 100% agree with you, Studios. And that comment you made is, they need to make a Star Wars edition for this game. Oh, yes, we all know what you're talking about, Empire Strikes Back. It would make a great scene, right? To do this like the asteroid scene in the Falcon. Yeah, this game could very well port over to it. Now, what is going to cost them to, indulge in the Star Wars IP? I don't know. That's none of my business. I really don't care. But if they don't do it, and I'm not very happy with that company, to tell you the truth. I don't think they handled their Kickstarter very well. I don't think they spoke to the backers very well. They treated us very well. I was part of that. I'm speaking from first-hand experience. So I would much rather see a different company handle a Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, Escape from the Asteroid, Slug Monster game version refitting of So You've Been Eaten. I'd rather see another company do it because they just left a bad taste in my mouth. And if I never play or film another game by them, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. Now, you also, about that same video, you also said this is one of the most original game ideas that I have ever seen. Yeah, that's one of the things that attracted me to the Kickstarter originally of So You've Been Eaten. Floyd Mays says, hello from Germany, sir. Very good, Germany. Excellent. Wunderbar. I'm sorry, I shouldn't insult you by trying to speak German. I don't know the language, although I do love the sound of it. So yes, so thank you for joining me here while I go through these comments. And if anyone has any questions, I consider every time I go live an AMA anyway. So yes, greetings to you, Germany. My mother was half German, Irish and German. Her maiden name was Shunk. Yeah. So I got that going for me. Now, yes, going back to Starship Chiru Studios, So You've Been Eaten, talking about this being one of the most original game concepts. It is. And that's what drew me originally to the game, is the fact that it had a one-player option and this concept of being inside a giant space monster who's slowly trying to digest you while you're mining for goods from this living creature. This living cosmic creature. I was like, wow, what a wild concept. But then, what really put it over the edge, now this is before I started having all the problems, and not just me, but the problems with the producers of the games, the designers of the game, the company, but before all that happened, I saw that this game not only had a 1 and 2 player mode, but a 0 player mode. What? Yeah. So running a 1-player game, now this is a 2-player game, running it as a 1-player game simply means that with the other side, whether it's the miner or whether it's the cosmic beast, is using an AI draw on the cards and the dice. That's all that means. So if you're playing 0-player, then you're just doing an AI draw for both sides back to back. For the beast, and then for the minor, and then for the beast, and then for the minor, etc., 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 ad infinitum, until it's game's over. I was like, what? This is brilliant. But really, now that I think about it, or have thought about it, any 2-player game, or I guess more, that has the 1-player option by creating an AI drawer, it could be possible to do it the other way around and create more 0-player games. I don't think it's going to work with every game, because you are going to need 2 options for AI draws, but it's possible. Any game that it's not possible for now could very easily make an expansion to make a 0-player game. Although I don't see why any company would. I think I'm one of the few people that actually thinks it's a pretty weird and cool concept. I don't think enough people thought that. But, besides all that, ultimately, when I played the game, it was better than I thought going into it. But after playing it a few more times, it has decreased in value for me. But that's after a lot of plays. And my problems with the company were my problems, and the backers' problems. It's not your problems if you weren't a part of all that, if you weren't there in the backer section when some of the BS and arguing were going on back and forth. You're coming at this completely blank, then yeah, I would suggest to you to get this game and try it out if anything about it interests you. But I always like to tell people, I don't like messing with people's wallets. So ultimately, don't listen to reviews, please. Not even me, which is why I do so few. There's some, but I do so few actual review videos. The best way to determine whether you're going to like a game is not listening to a floating head like me on a screen. It's to watch the game being played. Because me or other reviewers, we have our personal likes and dislikes. We have our preferences. And they are going to be different more than likely than yours. So no matter what I say about how I like the game, it does not carry necessarily a lot of weight for anyone listening to that. So again, watch playthroughs. If you see a game that you're interested in, trust me, please, instead of listening to these influencers try their best to influence you, inform yourself instead of being influenced. And the best way in this case to do it is to watch actual playthroughs. That will inform you how the game plays, how the game flows, and you'll know. You'll know if it's something that you and or your buddies or your gaming table are going to enjoy. Please, handle every purchase like that. Don't listen to influencers. Don't. Just be informed. That's where I come from here. All right, so now getting back to the Midday Monologue Monday from last week, from a week ago. Why I DM? Why I DM? Shogunstein said, I had a great DM when I was a kid in Levittown at YAM, Yours or Mine Youth Center. Yours or Mine Youth Center. Don't know it? Sounds cool. I didn't have a youth center really when I was a kid, but I did have a Castle Hill Beach Club. And I used to bring my D&D stuff to the beach club. Hardly ever got a chance to play it, but always had it with me just in case somebody says, you play D&D? I play D&D. You'd have a game going. But yeah, so the whole video I got into why I do it, why I love it, why I don't play, give it a chance. I would rather DM than play the game. I had a lot of fun making that video. And it was one of the few videos I got a chance to do outside again. I haven't done an outside video literally in years since the pandemic hit. Partly to do with the pandemic, but not entirely. After that, it just changed locations, and I didn't have a chance to go out to the spots and do all these videos. So I did. I did for this one. I got out and I enjoyed that. It's a nice video. So thank you for checking it out, Shogunstein. But you check out everything. Thank you. Thank you for that, actually. Speaking of Shogunstein, you also checked out the 2-gun review of Questeros, which is a tarot card-based game by Fundamental Games. And I talk about Fundamental Games a lot around here, too. It's a small company. I really do enjoy them. And I used to be a tarot card reader. Not so much anymore. But yeah, my teens and my 20s, I was really big into the tarot cards. And there are a few tarot card games, board games, tabletop games out there on the market. There are a few. This was the first one I saw, though. Although it's not the first one to be out there. It was the first one to catch my attention. And they do a damn good job. One of the things I enjoy about this one in particular, and this company does it frequently, and other companies do it sometimes too, and I really love it when they do. And that's when you take a multiplayer game and you make it optional for one player, but you alter the rules. So it's kind of like a second game, a different game, because it does play differently. And Questros does that. The one-player version of it is a different game than the multiplayer version. I guess it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. The multiplayer version as a solo game it fall apart. It's impossible. So building up this whole different game with these different rules for the same thing, I just love that. So whenever a company does have that option where a one-player version of the game is like very different, I love it because it is. It's like getting two games. It's like getting two games for one. So Shogunstein, very simple, and you say this often, and thank you very much for it, brother. He simply said, legendary review. Well, thank you so much. See, now that was a Two Gun review. And I just said, I don't do a lot of reviews, but I do some of them. I'm so glad I added some of them in there. And it really has to catch my attention. The game really has to, A, catch my attention, or B, catch Tommy V's or one of the 20-Sided Warriors' attention, and then we'll talk about it. Or I'll do the review on it like that. It doesn't happen often. I have a couple of more coming up this year. I think 2 more. They only got 2 more actual Two Gun reviews coming up for this year. Oh, Friday Night Fillers. Yeah, we had a good time with this game. Always do. Judge Dredd Cursed Earth. This is, this is what Shogun was talking about. This is by Osprey Games. And a few weeks before that, I played the Osprey game that this was based on. See, I didn't even realize I was doing that Zeitgeist, Shogunstein. This is based on their previous game of The Lost Expedition by Pierre Sylvester, which itself is based on the real-life occurrence and disappearance of Percy Fawcett, who was the 1920s, 30s adventurer, ex-military guy turned adventurer that Indiana Jones was based on. But unlike Indiana Jones, this guy's last mission, he disappeared and nobody ever saw him or his kid's best friend ever again, except maybe the natives in their full bellies, as the popular idea goes. But anyway, the Judge Dredd version, I digress. The Judge Dredd version, I can speak, is a great overlay to the Lost Expedition game. It adds in a few very cool, interesting aspects, such as radiation that you're going to be dealing with in the Cursed Land. In fact, I think that last game, that radiation really just wiped me out. That was one of the main reasons I didn't make it to the end. Taking so much radiation damage counts against your standing health. So you get too much radiation damage. Like if you have 3 radiation damage, it's the same thing as not having 3 health. It doesn't add up well for you. But yeah, so it also adds in the psychic concept, because if you're a Judge Dredd fan, then of course I don't have to say anything, tell you anything about Judge Anderson, my favorite. And she is there, so there is a psychic aspect to the game too. And you don't find these 2 aspects in the original Lost Expedition. And I haven't played the game in a while. I had a lot of fun with it, and I was thinking about it, not because it was an Osprey game. I was actually thinking about it because the last time I played a Judge Dredd game, and I'm sure the comment is in here somewhere, I got a response to it, thank you. This is the second Judge Dredd game that you've introduced me to. So it was on my mind. Just like Block War is on my mind. Me and maybe Ron or one of the other guys, we got to play Block War again. It's been a while since we played Judge Dredd Block War. There's an amazing 2-player card game. Absolutely love it. I'm so sorry the planned expansions for it never happened. I think the game just didn't pick up and sell the way Game and Curry, that's the company that makes that. Game and Curry was hoping that it would pick up for, so they never did the expansions. But that's a great Judge Dredd game too. Block War, got to show that off. But that's why I played that. That's why I played that, to show off the fact that it's a Judge Dredd game. And I had a couple of viewers very excited that I was playing a previous Dredd game. All right, so this is going way back. I mean, this is going back like beginning of the pandemic. That's a timestamp now, isn't it? Beginning of the pandemic, at least here in America. So this is Gaming with Alexa, which was a short series I did when the pandemic started. And me and the 20-Sided Warriors and me and Tommy V, we had to kind of close the door, cut off, isolate for safety. and I was struggling what to do. I didn't do as many solo games a few years back until the pandemic hit. And that's when I discovered that Alexa, I'm so glad I have her unplugged right now. She keep waking up. Alexa can play games with you. Some of them are board games. I don't know what else has been added over the time, but like she can play Ticket to Ride or Ticket to Ride Europe. I played Ticket to Ride Europe with her. But she also has games that people have developed specifically as these verbal app games. And this is one of them. It's called The Dark Citadel. And I'm sorry, over the last year, I've gotten a few comments about this game, and I never get back to answering them because I'm kind of, this sounds mean, and I don't mean it to sound negative, but I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of over The Dark Citadel. It has nothing to do with the game itself. It is a good game. If you enjoy text-based, verbal role-playing games, please go check out Dark Citadel with Alexa. You're really going to enjoy it. But it became too much work for me. I didn't have the mind to remember every goddamn turn left and right and where the exits were. It just got too much. And so then I started keeping notes on it. And then I had notes everywhere and I was losing notes. And it just, I got a little tired. And then I think what happened, I think it was this one, because there was a couple I was playing at the time, but I think it was this one. I really wanted the option to just start over. And I was talking to the designer of the game. And I was like, listen, is there a code or some way? I can't find anything here in the intro to the app, to the game. I can't find anything to let me start the game over. Because I've made so many mistakes. I don't feel like backtracking. It's going to be forever. It's going to be too many days of me backtracking to now fix everything. So I'd just rather start the game over. And the designer had no understanding of why I wanted to start the game over, why I couldn't just backtrack and do things. No, there's no start over for it, John. Why don't you just want to just keep going? Because this is insane and it's a waste of my time. So that's why I stopped playing it. But if I had had a chance to start over from the start, I may have continued the game to its ending. I don't know if I would have. I feel like I would have. But yeah, I had it with the designer. The designer was not listening to me at all. One simple thing, how hard can it be for you to have a restart option? So, bye. I don't need it. I might have a few other games that I can play instead. Maybe. I don't know. Let me take a look. But, so gaming with Alexa, Super Michelle DJ. I've seen you before here. I've seen comments from Super Michelle DJ before. Thank you for making another one. So you, obviously, let's see what you thought of The Dark Citadel. I got this game last week. I'm addicted to it. There's plenty of updates, and upcoming features will be available soon. As for fighting, goblins and other monsters, guys, you need to have an awful lot of coin and resources. Secondly, upgrade your character's inventory. You will succeed better. These higher level monsters have a lot more hit points, so you have to level up your character and strengthen stats and other things in the enhancement menu. It takes a while to figure out, but this game is awesome. Also, I tend to increase the difficulty rating as high as possible when I'm getting coin stacks. Then I lower my difficulty rating when I'm just playing the game normally. I won't offer too many spoilers here, though. Okay, so obviously a much different experience than I've had. Also, it's been about 3 years, I guess. You'd have to look at the exact drop date of that video, but at least, 3 years, I guess, since I played it. So, yes, I'm sure, to be fair, I'm sure that there has been enough updates and changes in the game that it may very well play and feel completely different from my early experience. But honestly, right now, between my ongoing Hero Quest game, I want to get back and start more into Return to Dark Tower as a quest game again. I'm looking at it right here on my table. I just got my backer edition of Arceus with everything with it, and I'm dying to do that as a campaign. And then, might as well just turn the camera over here too. Look what I did to this shelf. See what I did to this shelf? It is all Warlock stuff. It's all Warlock stuff. Why? because I'm getting ready to explode with this. So my time, even if I was more interested, let's face it, my time to play the Dark Citadel doesn't exist anymore. My window of opportunity to play it has passed. But I still stand by anything and everything that I wrote about it and what I said about it right here. And ultimately, although at the time, the version, the edition of it that was out then did not ultimately pan out for me, like I said earlier, if you enjoy text-based games, in this version of it, a verbal-based game, then please go check it out. You're probably going to enjoy this fantasy game a lot. Much like Super Michelle DJ did. Thank you for the comment. Oh, okay, going back to a previous Monday again, there is Dungeons & Dragons, the question of min-maxing. Now, remember, my attitude comes from over 40 years, going back to the original first edition, to the point where we didn't even call it first edition. We just called it AD&D. That's all we did. We called it Advanced D&D. Even after second edition came out, we didn't call it first edition, really. But anyway, so I'm really old school thought about this. And Dr. Andrew J. Black said, enjoyed the video. Great work. Thank you. Thank you. Not everyone enjoyed that video. A few questioned the way I was defining min-maxing. And yes, there really is no way other than ability score point allocation to min-max a classic basic game. You know, Tom Mulvey edition, let's say. Yeah, there really is no way because that gets tough. Because class and race is divided. I mean, it isn't divided. It's one in the old basic set. You know, you're not an elf fighter. You're an elf. And if you're a fighter, you're a human. That's it. Don't even put your race on it. It doesn't say human or human fighter. Just fighter. Everyone knows you're a human. So it makes it easier to min-max when you can mix classes and races together, as well as working out your attribute points. And like I went into in that episode, you know, if you're gonna do it, you know, a good level is anything no higher than third level. And to reiterate really quickly what I said in that video, you know, if you max out your first, second, or even third, that pushes a little bit maybe, but definitely if you max out, and when I say max out, I mean ability scores, great mixing of perfect, you know, mixing of class and race, and then giving out stuff to buff them up a little bit. Give them out a few extra magic items that maybe they would be starting out with. That's cool. Don't worry about it. It's not a big problem for two reasons. One, min-max the villains, min-max the NPCs. That'll create a balance. And this way your players are still getting to play more dramatic and more epic heroes in their mind's eye, but it's not really affecting your game because you've min-maxed out the monsters and villains too. And the other thing to keep in mind is, you know, if you do this at second or third level, by the time they're fifth or sixth, if you don't do it anymore, if you just do it that one time, by the time they're fifth or sixth level, they're pretty much going to be averaged out with the standard CR monsters of that level. Most of the cool items that you gave them to start with will have deplenished, been destroyed or lost, used up, gone. They won't have them anymore. And as far as their abilities and stuff go, slowly increasing in level, it'll even it out. So you do it at low level, and by the time they get to mid-level, they have had these epic stories and adventures, and they felt like the greatest heroes in Hollywood history. But really, they're just doing the same job as everyone else because everything else has been pushed back up also. So it's a great way to let your heroes min-max and not ruin your game as a DM. And I've pretty much exclusively DM'd like that most of my life. Give the players early on pretty much what they want, and then just average it out after that. You just don't give them anything special, just give them what they earn. And 3 or 4 levels after that, they're pretty much evened out. It's like a frog in a boiling pot, slowly boiling pot. You put the frog in the water. The frog doesn't notice anything because it's a cold-blooded animal. You slowly put the heat up. It's going to start boiling without even knowing it's boiling. It's the same thing. They're leveling out with everything else without even noting that they're leveling out. So yeah, go check that video out. The question of min-maxing from the 10th. It was a midday monologue from the 10th this month. So thank you, Dr. Andrew J. Black, for enjoying that video and the thought I put into it. Back to our buddy Shogunstein. He's all over the place here for Judge Dredd Cursed Earth. Here we go again. He actually said, I actually like the movie with Stallone. Rob Schneider got to me a little bit. I like him. I think he's funny. I didn't see the need for the comic relief in the movie. I think that detracted from what Judge Dredd is. A little bit. Maybe not too much, but a little bit. The other thing that bothered me about the movie, and this also, maybe both of these are just nitpicking. The other thing that bothered me about the movie was when Stallone wouldn't wear the helmet because, you know, he's Sylvester Stallone and you have to see his face because he's an egomaniac. I don't know about recently, but I'm pretty damn sure that by the time that movie released, nobody had ever seen Judge Dredd's face. Not the readers, you know, looking at the comic panels. His face was never really revealed. He was always, I am the law. You know, like Rob Schneider makes fun of him. I am the law. That's all he was in the comic. But because it's Sylvester Stallone, you got to see his ugly face. I don't mean his ugly face. He has a nice face. I don't like it, but he has a nice face. But yeah, so it was an entertaining movie. It was a nice little popcorn movie, I guess. But I really think that was not the best version of it. The Carl Urban version absolutely kicked ass. And why there hasn't been more movies with his version of Judge Dredd, I don't know. Because I think the movie was good. I think it was the better of the movies made at the time. But I still think it could have been more representative. I say that word right? It could have represented the world of the Cursed Earth and the mega cities and Judge Dredd and the Hall of Justice a little bit better. And I think it could have built up to that if the series was allowed to continue. They did a good job. I really love. I mean, I'll watch Carl Urban in just about anything. That movie he did, Pathfinder, where he was the child of a Viking who got left in the Americas when the Vikings came here to raid the Native Americans, and the Native Americans raised him, and then like 20 years later, the Vikings come back, and he has to fight his own people to protect his new people. Absolutely amazing. And the cinematography in that movie, it's a color movie, but it all takes place in winter. So although it's color, it's so stark and contrasting in its white and grayness. I'll pretty much watch anything Carl Urban does, man. He's superior to the Sylvester Stallone movie. Absolutely. I will die on this hill that the Carl Urban Judge Dredd is the superior one. Love you for making the comment, Shogunstein. And going back to the question of min-maxing, Citizen Wayne 4550 said, my 5E guy started at level 3 with an uncommon magical item. Since then, I've given them plenty of gold and magic items. Right amount of gold, a few too many magic items, I admit, but most are very niche, used and are homebrewed to be so. All my characters are strong as hell, so everything they fight is hard as fuck. They're level 6 right now, and taking +8 from NPCs, around 4d8 damage on its hits. Party of 5, it's fine. Occasionally I down to somebody, no deaths, challenging fights, sense of accomplishment. The magic of the game is that if you make your character strong, you can always make your monsters stronger without making your characters feel weaker. See, this is what I was talking about. When in doubt, just add it points to the monsters, and I agree. Let them have fun. If anything, my combat is more dangerous. A few good or bad rolls could be the difference. And a 10-person fray that takes place over 45 seconds, a few missteps is all it would take to turn the tide. So I think it's a fairly honest way to play also. I'm saying I'm fine with optimization. I don't really support min-maxing at the cost of character elements, but optimization is one of the points of the game. In no sport or game that I am aware of on this planet is thinking too hard considered cheating or frowned upon. My 2 cents. Your 2 cents for my 2GP. Ah. Yes, in hindsight, that is 2GP. One of the reasons why I liked Two Gun Pixie, because of the initials 2GP. People throw in their 2 cents. I throw in my 2GP. But Citizen Wayne, right on the money. Right on the money. I love everything that you said here. Everything you said here says to me that you're, and this is arbitrary, I admit it, you're doing things right. Okay, and again, that's arbitrary. Every DM does things their own way, and their own way is right for their own particular game. I have my standards. Some people have none, and some people have far stricter standards than me. Some people don't even call them standards. They're just preferences as to how one wants to play. And remember, there's nothing wrong with a preference. All right, usually. I've had my argument otherwise, but that's not for here or now. I don't feel like getting political. This is for fun, right? Absolutely. So, yeah, when it comes to things like min-maxing, just let your players do it. Because you're a good DM, and you can handle it. You have a screen. Well, you want to talk about the DM screen for a while? There's been movement. There's been a couple of movements over the years that I've seen, small things here and there with players talking about screenless DMing and screenless gaming for honesty and everything. D&D is not about honesty, folks. Oh, no. It's about fun. And sometimes honesty isn't fun. DM needs that screen. I've cheated on rolls. My players know I have. They don't know I have, but they know I have. But it's always for the game. It's always for the story. It's always for the excitement in the moment. And it's not a point of whether I let my players die. Not that you said that or anyone said that here, phrase it like, but it's a phrase I've heard before about a DM letting a player die. That is BS. If anyone tries to put that shit down your throat, spit it back out. Because players' deaths are on the players. Almost every single time. If it could be a DM's fault if the DM didn't give the proper information. Sure, that can happen. And then the DM should pull back and change things up because it's their fault for not giving needed information that if the players had and rightfully should have had, that character wouldn't have died. I'm not talking about situations like that. I'm talking about with situations where players just do the wrong thing or the roll just goes bad. I have yet to have in the campaign that we're running for the last Thursday of the month that we're showing you the highlights of, nobody has died in my 3E campaign, 3X campaign. 3 or 4 of the characters have been brought down to between 0 and -10 hit points, and have had, as I've given them in the game, near-death experiences. And I've used this as a story point. They're not dead. The players I know are going to be able to catch before their friend dies. They're going to be able to catch them. They're going to be able to bind their wounds, heal check, or give them a potion or something. I know that. So have a little fun. Give them a near-death experience. Something that hints about what's coming further down your campaign. And if you're not playing a campaign, if you're just playing one-offs, then just throw something out there that you can tweak later. It doesn't have to be part of your campaign. But you can think to yourself, oh yeah, I did plant that seed a month ago. Why don't I pay that off now? Just do it on the fly. Just do it on the fly. But it always works out well. Now, if a player dies. But they don't have to die, then give them a near-death experience. Make it fun. A little bit of knowledge for them almost dying for the party. Right? And also, if somebody almost dies and comes back from it, to me, that's an XP bonus moment. Because you did. You were on the other side for a moment. And you're pulled back. So you deserve a few experience points for that. Oh, Shogunstein again with the Osprey Games here. Again with the Osprey Games. For Sam, I completely forgot Samurai Gardener. I did that this month too. Wow. I see what you mean. I wasn't thinking about all these Osprey Games. They should pay me. So 2 comments. The second one, cool theme. But the first one, and this is for Samurai Gardener. The first one you said is, I do my Japanese gardens at the Brooklyn Art Museum. Been a while since you've been to the Brooklyn Art Museum, huh? No, you haven't been in town in a while. But yeah, this is a really fun game. Samurai Gardener. You can play 2 players but it's best for 3 or more. And the idea of it is that the emperor wants his portrait done, and he wants it done while walking through his garden. And it is your job. Oh, no, wait a second. That's Sakura. Oh, Kings are getting mixed up. No, Samurai Garden. Well, it's still similar. It's the emperor. The emperor. It's a time of peace. There's no war going on. So he has you and then the other players, his favorite generals, shoguns. He has them come to his castle, and he says, "Hey, I want a Zen garden. Make me a Zen garden, and I will treat well the one that gives me the best." So yeah, you and the others are working on tiles that you can twist and you move and you place down in different spots to make a really good Zen garden. And it is a competitive game. It can drive you a little bit mad. It definitely can with the because it has a little bit of that take that aspect to it. With someone else taking a spot that you really needed to help your collection of these damn tiles. Now where are you going to put your koi pond? Yeah, it gets like that a little bit. So it is a really fun game. It is a cool theme. I've never seen another game themed like that before. So that was another thing that caught my attention for it originally years ago. I mean, geez, this game is like, what, 6-8 years old already? Is it? I'd have to check, but I think it is. Oh. Now more on the question of min-maxing. Shogunstein thought that was a legendary video. Thank you, Shogunstein. And Faedruslive. 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 Is this the first comment from Phaedro? I think so. I don't recognize that name or spelling. This is what Phaedro had to say, pre-2E. Min-maxing really only amounts to max hit points in a primary request, which I personally wouldn't even do in my game. One guy with an 18 strength can run any first level encounter by himself, maybe a knight getting a particularly high gold roll and ending up with a plate mail and shield, double the cost for plate armor, of course, which doesn't happen off the rip too often. Now, you see, I disagree. I think with first edition, there was a little bit more min-maxing than just the let's face facts, cheating. Any player at the table that does not roll right there in front of the party and comes to the party with a character sheet that has 2 or more 18s on it, no, I don't trust, because the odds are so great against that. And am I going to look my good friend in the eye and say I don't trust them? Hell yeah, I am. They're my good friend. If I can't say that to my good friend, who the hell can I say that to? So yeah, there was min-maxing with first edition, but I think it just really perfected with 3E, 3X is really what perfected the whole min-maxing thing. And especially with the concept of prestige classes. And I know before this, they had, what did second edition call it? Kits. Call it kits. Kits were the precursor to prestige classes. And for second edition, I enjoy the concept of the kit. I did not like second edition, but there were a few good things that we can take from it. And I think character kits were probably one of the best things that got added to D&D with the second edition. And that led completely up to prestige classes in third edition and beyond. So that all works. But yeah, there was more. I mean, between, like I said before, race and class perfection. You got to get the two that are going to synergize, to steal a third edition usage phrase, to synergize how well the character is going to run. A half orc. See, and that's why also in first edition you have the race limits and the racial classes that they can enter into. Not every race could be every class, and that limited the game. But you know what? I think that also strengthened it a little bit, and I do miss that whole concept. That certain classes just can't be certain races just can't be certain classes, and even out of that they can only go so high of a level. But in hindsight, remember that Gygax pictured this game really as human-centric and wasn't as big a fan of having non-human races being so prominent in the game. To him, it was really more of a human-centric game than anything else. So it makes sense that he would want to limit what these races can do. Because realistically, I don't understand why something like a gray elf in first edition D&D that can live up to 2,000 years, they have level caps? I admit it didn't make a lot of sense. Unless you take in mind that he was human-centric. Then it makes perfect sense. So yeah, you could be very careful, but it got perfected with third edition. Really no min-maxing with basic. First edition a little, you start seeing the inklings of it, learning how it can be. Like looking at it in hindsight, you can see the evolution of min-maxing. You can definitely follow it. And I think that's the important aspect of first edition, min-maxing, is that how it started everything. Before it was even called min-maxing. We knew what to do to tweak the very best character at the lowest level. And if we got lucky, maybe our DM let our low-level character start with 1 or 2 really cool things. That was it, yeah. But thank you for the comment, Faye. It was very excellent of you, taking your time to do that. Pixie playthrough D&D Dungeon Mayhem. 2 players, the Wizard versus the Paladin. Jen Washi. Oh, Jen Washi 921. Been a while. Thank you for being around. Hi, Johnny. You are already doing great videos, but Mrs. Johnny G brings some really nice spice to the video. It would be great if she would do these more often. Sure would be. Every time she does a video, there's something positive said about that. She's not the biggest gamer in the world. She has other hobbies that she prefers. So that's why it doesn't happen all the time. But when it does happen, it's usually pretty cool. I'm trying to get her to maybe get into a few more games. I know a few of the titles that she likes. She did really like the Dungeon Mayhem. And now that I have the full set, including the monsters, and the variant rule on team play, I think it's going to get her to do something else with the game. And she hasn't tried the Marvel Mayhem yet, which I damn well hope they work the same way they work the Dungeon Mayhem and come out with like another 2-pack heroes and then a collection box with 6 villains in it. They got to do it the same way. Come on. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Jen, thank you for making the comment. Slideshow gaming by Shogun's theme again, talking about let them eat cake. Interesting theme, he says. Everything looks so green. Let Them Eat Cake is a very interesting game because it is about the French Revolution. Particularly, it's about beheadings and handing out the right job to the right player at the right time so they do you a favor and you can screw over everyone else. And in the end, you want to eat cake. We haven't played this game in a while, I admit. It is an elimination style game, sort of akin to Werewolf, a little bit. Not really, but I guess that's the closest thing I can attest it to. Every round, the group is going to get to vote, and you vote on the positions you want to put everyone in for that turn. And then you go through that turn, and then somebody gets beheaded at the end of it because they didn't do their job well enough in everyone else's eyes. And then the next day, the same thing. So you see what I mean? A little bit of a similarity. If you like Werewolf the Apocalypse, Are You Mafia, Blood on the Clock Tower style games, then this is definitely along those lines. Let Them Eat Cake. And it's historic. It's about the French Revolution. I got 3 comments, 2 of which from Shogun's Theme again, and then from Clean Sweep 38. Both of our buddies here on the channel, and this is for the Brawlin' board game at the beginning of the month that I did for Uno Avengers versus Crazier 8 Olympus. So, Uno Avengers, we all know the Uno games, and there's a lot of different skins for them. And I was given, as a gift, the Marvel skin. And it was really cool. I enjoyed it. 20-Sided Warriors enjoyed it. Now, a while back, I had got one of the few times I got in a game for review purposes, and that's the Crazier 8 lines. Every now and then, I get sent one of the newer games to review, check out, make videos about. And they are Crazy 8. That's the basic game of it, Crazy 8. But these are crazier because some cards you keep in your play area, while other cards you just outright play, and they have abilities. You're not discarding. The ones you play go on the bottom of the pile. Anything you discard, of course, like Crazy Eights or Uno, goes on the top and changes the lineup of what you have, the number, the color, the symbol, they have to match. So with the Crazier 8 games, they all have like little alternate rules here and there. And the Crazier 8's Olympus, the aces are all gods. So like of the 4 aces, one of them is Zeus, another is Demeter. You get the idea. The ace cards in this game, unlike the other Crazier 8s, cannot be destroyed. Because you're mere mortals. And these are the gods. So that's why of all the Crazy 8 games, I decided to put that up against Uno Avengers. Because playing the gods felt more akin than 1001 Nights or King Arthur, which there are also Crazier 8 games for. It felt more superhero-like to put it up against the gods. And that's what I did. And I think both these games are great. Watch the video, Brawling Board Games, to find out which one that I said was better. Shogun Scene says, which one is better on the blanket at Jones Beach? Neither. I don't think any card game is good on the beach because beaches tend to get very windy. Maybe if you have them all sleeved, that might help because the sleeves, the plastic sleeves, especially if they're thick. But I don't like those. But, the thick, really hard card sleeves, maybe those would be enough to hold it down in the wind. And if that was the case, I think I would have to say Uno Avengers is a better beach game. Simply because with Crazier 8's Olympus, you're playing around with the discard deck. You're putting some cards under it, some cards on top of it, but then you have some cards flat out in your play area, just sitting out in front of you. So that's a lot going on a potentially windy beach day. While on the other hand, Uno Avengers, you're just dealing with the cards in your hand, the draw pile, and the discard pile. So if you have a rock or a seashell or something to weigh down the deck, that should be fine. So there's less cards to manage on a windy day with Uno Avengers. There you go, Shogunstein. Now he says no WPIX Channel 11 News. That's an in-joke with us because I live in New York City. He grew up in New York City. WPIX is one of their local channels. And we have a lot of fun remembering those. Remember the Pix video game of Shogunstein? Or anyone else watching this video from New York in the 80s? Pix video game? It was like an Atari. They just had a camera on the Atari. And it was like some space game with just things coming at you. And whenever you at home, they called you up on the phone, you had to send in, a form saying you wanted to be on the show. And if they picked you and called you, then as you're watching live, to get them to shoot, you had to say Pix, because that's what it was called, Channel 11, PIX, WPIX, Pix. So you had to say Pix over and over and over. And that's what most kids did. Most kids just, as soon as it started, they just Pix. That's what so the guy sitting there is just doing nothing but just pressing as fast as he can. Oh, it was chaos. Remember that, Shogunstein? Or like I said, anyone else from New York in the 80s? Clean Sweep 38 says Olympus is the winner for me, hands down. Good to see we have a fan. Good to see that. And you are a dedicated fan, Clean Sweep. Look at you, hands down. Not even a shadow of a doubt in your mind. You know what you like. Friday Night Fillers at the beginning of the month. Actually, this is the end. Well, look at this. We're almost at the end of the month here. Previous month. Don't Talk to Strangers, 2-player mode. This was me and Ron. Wasn't this the one? Me and my wife have played it a few times too. No, this is me and Ron. Looking at that thumbnail. Clean Sweep 38, 2 comments. One of them, GG. Good game. Thank you very much. And the other one, this game plays great for 1 or 2. I want to try it with 3 or 4. Actually, no, I've tried it with 3 once. I haven't tried it with 4 yet. But I want to try a full game of it. But yeah, you know what? 2 is a sweet spot. 1 is good in a pinch. I want to throw the game down and have some fun. It's good in a pinch. But yeah, I think 2 so far. Until I get more information, otherwise try a 4-player game and a few more 3 players. I think 2 is a sweet spot for Don't Talk to Strangers. So all the way at the top, at the beginning of the month, July's What's Up July. Clean sweep again with 2 comments. The first one says, I also own Age of War and do enjoy your playthroughs of the Bloody Inn and the Abandons. Bloody Inn and the Abandons makes, well, the Abandons is strictly a one-player game. Bloody Inn, I've been playing one player, not exclusively, but mostly. I do have more fun with the multiplayer game of that, because it's fun screwing with the other players. But even as a one-player game, Bloody Inn is bloody fun. Now, the other comment is, for you, Battle of Avengers versus Crazier 8's Olympus. I would choose Crazier 8's anything over Uno anytime. I like the strategy involved where there is not as much in Uno. Also, I love mythology. So I would choose that over the Avengers anytime. After watching you play through Crazier 8's, which was the first video of yours I actually watched, I picked up both the King Arthur deck and the expansion, and then I backed both the Olympic deck and both Olympic decks. So for me, Crazier 8 wins hands down. Wow, clean sweep. If you had told me that before, I'm sorry I forgot about that. But it is awesome that you actually bought the game and then kickstart back the next games in the line because you saw me play it and you enjoyed it. That means the world to me. That a game I thought was fun got turned on to somebody else, and they, you in this case, clean sweep, went out and bought it, and you're continuing to have fun with it, and you're introducing this game to your friends, and they're having fun with it. That really does mean the world to me. I love knowing that we're all playing games and having fun and enjoying ourselves, and because every now and then you just got to turn the real world off. You go back to it, you have to. But for a few minutes, every now and then, just turn it off and play a game. Floyd Mays again. I really enjoyed your stream, sir, but it's bedtime for me now. It's 3:02 a.m. over here. Have fun and a nice day. We're getting ready to wind down too, Floyd, so you're not missing much, but thank you for watching this in Germany. My friend, thank you very much, and spread the word about Two Gun Pixie. We do our best here. Good night, good dreams, and have a better tomorrow. And that's pretty much it with us too, because everything else I'm getting into the list now is June. Floyd actually was here with us the whole time. So that's it, everyone. I'm your buddy Big Johnny G for Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming, and I am out of here. See you next time.